Today on the Fitness Business Podcast, an industry visionary is going to educate you on how to survive and thrive in this ever-changing fitness industry. That's right, Doris Thews is with us today, and she stresses the importance of relationships over resumes and shares the inside scoop on the 3 Ps: people, profits, and products. All of this and more on the Fitness Business Podcast. One of my favorite parts of being the host of the Fitness Business Podcast is hearing from you, our FBP family. I love when you tell me which guest is your favorite or which show stands out in your memory. Well, here is what I have to say. Don't keep it a secret. Share your favorite episode, guest, or topic with your fellow industry friends. I'd love for you to share your thoughts on your favorite social media outlet and then tag us. And also, the value that you get from any of our shows, we would all be super grateful if you would post a review on iTunes. Hello, Fitness Business Podcast family. I am your host, Dory Nugent, and today our guest, Doris Thews, hits it out of the park with an amazing episode for our industry professionals. Doris comes to the podcast with a wealth of positive energy about surviving and thriving in the fitness industry. Doris Thews is a 36-plus year industry veteran and a global educator. But did you also know that she was the 2019 World Idea Instructor of the Year? How awesome is that? Doris is the perfect guest for today's episode, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the expert advice from a true industry pioneer. We will hear from Doris in less than 2 minutes. First, a huge thank you to not only our sponsor, but also our friend, Tribe Team Training, and we thank you for supporting our show.
Are you interested in increasing your center's income and your trainer's income from small group training? Tribe Team Training is the new way to get more members engaged in small group training and paying extra. Click the Tribe Team Training link in the show notes or go to tribeteamtraining.com.au/podcast for your free formula to see how much income you can make from small group training.
Thank you, Tribe Team Training. Make sure you all check out www.tribeteamtraining.com.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
What are your 3 top tips for thriving and surviving in the fitness business?
Number 1, have a solid reputation. And that's so important that early on you surround yourself with the right people, with the right brands that you fully believe in. Be visible, available, and visible. And when opportunities are given, kick that door down, do an amazing job, and then follow up and be available. What you'll find is when you're visible and you do a good job, people will call on you again and again and again. And as the opportunities happen and the doors open, guess what? You're building your reputation. And a reputation is critical. The second thing would be education. It's super important that you're constantly learning. I'm personally taking a yoga RYT 500 with Yoga Assets. I've been teaching yoga for 20 years. I present yoga globally. I'm taking a 500-hour RYT. You bet. Super important that we educate. Super important that we are able to be the mouthpiece of fitness to the general population as well as our clients. And so education, everything. Knowledge is power. And let me tell you something, learning is earning. So invest in education. I'm telling you that will help you stand out. So with the right reputation, with the right knowledge base, guess what happens? You gain respect. And most importantly, you have to hold your respect. And how you hold your respect are by being very clear to what your values are. What are your personal values and what are your professional values? Mine are people, products, then profit. Always in that order. If you ever flip it, I'm not the person for you. It's not the job for me. It's not the brand I want to be a part of. So I would say, build a reputation, learn as much as you can, and maintain respect. And the industry is funny because people say, oh, if you do a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That is BS. You will work your butt off, but you will not look at the clock. You will not look at the clock because you love what you do and you'll be energized from it. But if you don't love what you do, you sit at your desk or you sit at your kitchen table and you look at your watch constantly and you're miserable. When you do what you love, you will work your buns off. But I'm telling you, you will be fulfilled with the right priorities and the right reputation. You will thrive in this industry. And that is my total hope and desire for everyone.
Next week, I interview guest Connie Holan, and we talk about 5 steps to website audits. After this week's full interview, I'll introduce you to Connie, and you'll hear why you need to tune in for her episode. MyZone has pioneered unique wearables with talking point technology that makes the difference. Reach more members of your community and keep them engaged for longer through motivation and gamification wherever they choose to work out. In the gym, at home, or outdoors, we're stronger together. Get in the zone at myzone.org. It is now time to transition into this week's interview with Doris Thews. Fitness Business Podcast, I have a special treat for you today. Guess who our industry expert is? It is the one, the only, Doris Thews. Doris, welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor, and I'm looking forward to today.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's an honor on my behalf. So thank you for joining us today. Just really quick, I mean, you've been in the industry forever. I think I might have saw 36 plus years that you've been a pioneer, a leader, a global educator. Am I right? There's no way it's 36 years.
Actually, 37.
Well, we are just grateful you were also named in 2019 the World Idea Fitness Instructor of the Year. That is so exciting.
It was one of the best days of my fitness career.
I'm sure it was such an honor. Well, I'm glad to have you here. You're going to talk about something that we haven't talked about in a long time, and that's just about survive and thriving in this ever-changing fitness industry, which, you know, right now with everything that's been going on the last year and a half, what a great topic to talk to industry experts or industry followers out there about surviving and thriving, especially it's been challenging lately.
Absolutely. I mean, the industry is relatively young. It's not even like 40 years old. And, you know, people don't want to just survive. And especially with everything that's happened in the world, we want to thrive. And a lot of that, there's a lot of key elements that will help you.
Yeah, I love the word thrive. It's such a positive word. It gives off a good energy. So looking forward to talking more about that. So let's get started. I'd love to just ask you, what is a common mistake new fitness professionals make early in their career?
They say yes to everything. They're like, I could teach this and I could teach that and I could personal train that and I could sweep the floor and I could do the juice bar and I can do this and I can do that. And, you know, it's a raise your hand and I want to get experience and exposure. But what happens is you become the jack of all trades and the master of none. And for a manager and a leader, it's like, yeah, she's helping me out. But then they start to see you as that utility player and not that superstar. And so if you really want to make forge a path in the industry, depending on what you're doing, be really good at one thing. I mean, be really good at one thing. And once you feel like you've mastered that, you will get opportunities. People will see your success. They'll want the skill sets that you've demonstrated, mastering that. And that's how it's worked for me. I mean, I started early on with Turbo Kick back in the day, which went to Schwinn Cycling, that went to Bosu, that's gone to my own programming, to Shockwave, to being, an innovation senior vice president for 2 firms. So, and working with global companies, and now doing Floyd Mayweather's home fitness app. I mean, it all starts with, it took 37 years to do that, but it really is about focusing on one thing and then doing it really, really well.
You know, where were you 20 years ago when I was teaching Group X and I was the one that was doing everything? I was the utility player. And it's funny because I always prided myself on that until I started doing the podcast, and leadership expert after leadership expert has come on and they're like, that's really not a good thing. And I'm like, oh, I did it all wrong for the last 20 some years.
You're very popular though. They probably loved you.
Well, listen, you're here to set the new generation of fitness industry instructors and personal trainers straight so they can become pros and they can become superstars. I'd love for you to be able to elaborate on the importance of relationships over resumes, a quote from your World Idea Spotlight session.
So more than ever, especially with COVID, if you're a veteran in this industry, you didn't instantly call a headhunter or go to a temp agency. When everything hit the fan, what'd you do? You called your mentors, you called your leaders. It all became relational. We all wanted to take care of each other. I do have to tell you that when you're establishing your career, or people who have said, how come I'm not further than I should be? Well, who are you hanging out with? Who are the people you're surrounding yourself with? Early on, I was blessed to work with Jay Blahnik, who's been my mentor for many, many years. I've worked with Shalane Johnson. I've worked with Jules Arney. I've worked with a lot of people. I surrounded myself with really good people, and you can only be better from that. If you want to run faster, run with faster people. And so the first thing I would say is those people will give you opportunities, and you just, they're going to open the door, but you got to kick it down and do a really good job. And then guess what happens? This is one of my favorite words, visible. You have to be visible. So when something else opens up, they go, hey, oh, Doris, she's under our nose. Doris can do it. And guess what? You kick that door down. And then you start kicking doors down, and you start having a track record, which builds a reputation, which brings respect. And as a senior leader, especially when I was working for BOSU and placing master trainers, I wouldn't necessarily book the most talented person. I'd book the person that was easiest to work with, that I knew would get the job done. So my point is this: relationships over resumes. Nice people go far in this world. And my next job and all the opportunities I've had haven't been because I've applied with an application. It's because someone picked up the phone, like Floyd Mayweather's app, and said, Doris would be perfect for starting Floyd Mayweather's home fitness app. That's how I got it. There were no resumes. There was no headhunter. It's all about relationships. If you want to go far, surround yourself with good people, do a really good job, and I promise you the opportunities will come to you.
I love the fact that you say nice people can go far. I love that. Sometimes, when you are nice, or at least you think you're nice, you question that because you think maybe being nice isn't getting me anywhere. So I appreciate that you kind of reiterated that nice works. It does get you somewhere. Can you elaborate more? You kind of said yes and no. You said one thing about teaching or lessons to learn is being able to say yes and no. Could you elaborate a little bit more about those two powerful words and how it can impact your legacy?
The most powerful words in your vocabulary are yes and no. And because we're in the fitness industry, we are servers, we love to please, and we're probably the busiest people on the planet, but guess who they ask to get stuff done? Us, because the most busiest people get stuff done. Every time you say yes, what you're doing is you're taking time out of your day, So your yeses determine your calendar. Your calendar determines your legacy. It determines your life. So it's really important when someone asks you for an opportunity. It happens all the time. You have to take a breath and say, thank you so much. Let me get back to you. Because how I spend my time is going to determine if I'm going to hit my goals or I'm going to have a great legacy. People will ask us to do things, and that's kind of being that utility player. You took care of other people, which is lovely and wonderful, but how close did that get you to your goals? I don't know. Maybe your goal is to be a utility player and to support. I don't know. But one thing you need to be really careful about on your yes and no's is sometimes there's things that you really want to do that just sounds so sexy, and you're like, oh, I really want to do it. But you need to have very calming, very focused goals. And you need to say, will Tahitian Hula Aqua help me be the best cycle instructor globally? The answer is no. So I have to say no, thank you. When I was given the opportunity to take on this app, I looked at it and I said, everything's going digital. So how you say yes and how you say no depend on your goals, and how you say yes will determine your life. And one thing too is a lot of us say yes, 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 and we serve everybody all day. Then we have dinner with our family. And then guess what we do at night? We do our jobs. Okay, that's not fair. That day should be us taking care of our business, supporting and helping people. But the people that say yes stay up late. They do it halfway. They're burned out. They're tired. And again, it's a tough one. So yes and no, very important words.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a yes person. I know it's a weakness. I'm a pleaser and I say yes a lot. And today I said no. When yes started coming out of my mouth, I stopped. And I paused for literally it was a couple seconds. And I'm like, I just can't today. And I kind of walked away. I got in my car. I was like, I'm kind of proud of myself.
You should be. I'll tell you, because that would have added time on your calendar. And does it serve you? Probably not.
No, it would not have served me. It would not have served me at all. It would not greater the good whatsoever. It just would have been me being nice and actually benefiting the other person, but would not have benefited myself. So, and I'm
not saying you shouldn't choose your charities. There are people that you help, that you support, that you mentor, but that also should be part of your time, but not all of your time.
So Doris, you talked a little bit about mentors. You named a couple people that were always your mentors. How do you feel now in the industry about, do you have time to be a mentor? Do you find time?
Well, absolutely. One thing is Jay Blonick always took my call, and I'll never forget that. And so I always take everybody's call. I will always take your call. Doesn't mean I'm going to mentor you, because I don't know if you're ready for it. Because a mentor relationship is a very serious relationship. It's a definitely agreed upon relationship. It's very strategic in terms of date, times, expectations, and it has a timeline, and there's a respect, and there has to be a give and take to it. So people that I've mentored so many people in this industry. It's been such a blessing. But like Kia Williams is someone that I've mentored, that she's rising. She's the next generation. She's Ed. And so, I mentored her, and then yet together we just co-presented a keynote presentation at CanFit Pro. So she'll surpass me in no time. Just matter. But like I've mentored a lot of people, but the big thing about mentors is don't be afraid to pick up the phone. Figure out who you want to be with. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone. Don't be offended if they say no, but make sure you're finding the people that represent your values, that agree. It has to be very formalized. Agree to the mentoring relationship. And I've been in it for 37 years. So honestly, I probably have over hundreds of people that I've mentored, and it's all seasonal based on what they need. And I help people because people helped me. It is our responsibility to grow this industry.
Now, Kia Williams, she was on with me just a few weeks ago. She's a boss. That girl is a boss. I thoroughly enjoyed interviewing her, and I agree. You're right. She is upcoming. She is a rising star.
I'm so excited for the industry because of her.
Yes, absolutely. We are in good hands. So let's elaborate on your top 3 Ps and how they impact your decisions and how they've defined your success.
Well, it's super important to have priorities and have a clear vision. Where people get in trouble is when they're not laser focused, because we're so creative and want to help everybody. But for me, 3 things that I've always done are the 3 Ps: people, products, and profit. So as when I was an SVP, or when I'm working as a consultant, which I am right now with my consulting business, when I come in as a consultant for innovation, I look at number 1, the people. What do people want? Not what's on trend, not what's sexy. What do these people want? Then I hire the right people for us to create and execute. And it doesn't mean they have the talent yet. I could teach talent. You just have to have the attitude and the work ethic. And then more important, once it's delivered, are the right people in place that have to support this product, which, by the way, it's really famous for people to create products and hit the road and then they don't do well in the clubs because the clubs aren't prepared. So make sure that the right people are supported and have that. The second thing is the product. The product has to be really good and has to solve a solution. And then the profits will come. That's an innovation. But as a leader, it's always about what's best for my people. How can I develop my people? How can I promote my people? And then what's the product that's going to get them across the finish line? And then the profits will come. And for me, I always look at that when I make my decisions. Who do I want to work with? When I looked at Floyd Mayweather, I didn't know much about him. I had to do research on him. Best boxer of all time. I had to recognize I just didn't want to do a fitness app. I wanted to tell his story. And then guess what? I mean, he's Money Mayweather. The profits came. The guy has like 15 million people following him. So everything I've done has been through the 3 Ps. Take care of people, get the right people, get a product that solves the solution, and the money will come. When you flip it, which a lot of people do, that's where you get a stressed out product, stressed out brand, and it will not go the distance. And I've always made my decisions. And literally when I put on my lenses, I look at my 3 Ps before I say the magic word yes. If they don't hit those 3, I'm out.
Doris, in talking to you today, you just seem super positive about the industry in general, but I'd love to just get your insight on, if you could change one thing in the industry, what would it be?
Well, this is a timeless question, because from literally 1984 to 2021, this has been my number one concern, is I feel the industry can be very closed-minded at times, and we can be very judgy. And when we do that, we're not helping ourselves and we're not helping the industry. I think it's super important when a trend comes out, that we experience it and we test it before we speak about it. So I'll just give an example of CrossFit. Okay, so CrossFit came out, there were cheerleaders and they're, oh, it's not good. And the reality was, I'm like, okay, I need to test it. So I actually tested it, and I did it with my very best friend, actually is a CrossFit coach. She's a mom of 3. She's an ex-Marine. She'll scare the crap out of you. I love her. Her name is Aki. She's my bestie, and we do bestie workouts. But I took it and I recognized, like, wow, this is empowering. I see this older woman who can't do a pull-up, who's on a band, and being coached and supported by an MBA professional umpire. So I see 2 women in 2 different aspects just coaching each other to find their very best. Now, when it came to the sleds, did I need to have that much weight? No. So I didn't do it. Did I do all the stuff they asked me to do? No. I made modifications. But I walked out of CrossFit and said, wow, there's some amazing things to this. There's amazing things to this. And there's some things I wouldn't do because I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a professional NBA referee. The reality is it gave me a great insight, because I was constantly being asked when I was overseeing the Shockwave product internationally, like, well, what do you think about CrossFit? Well, I could make those statements and I could say good things about it because I experienced it. So I would just ask that every fitness professional, when someone asks you about a product, would you please take it? Please take it and look for the good in it. Look for the good. Look for the good. And where there are things that you don't believe in, find the modification.
Well, Doris, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's so insightful, so inspiring, powerful. Just, you're such a great resource.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you are a master of a lot. So you do wear a lot of hats. I know you speak. Like you said, you're on the executive boards. My goodness, you were just at IDEA presenting, but you're just absolutely fantastic. We're so blessed to have you in the industry as one of our pioneers and veterans. Thank you again, Doris, for joining us today. You are such a great role model for so many young professionals. Now, if you're looking to reach out to Doris to ask her just maybe a few more questions, that's easy. Head to our show notes, which can be seen at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, or easier yet, subscribe to the show notes and they will be emailed directly to you. You can also subscribe at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. In 30 seconds, I will introduce you to Connie Holen, our web designer expert, who is scheduled to be next week's guest.
Quickfire 5.
Are you ready for Connie Holen, web designer and digital strategist? Let's hear which movie character she would love to play when I ask her the Quickfire 5 questions. Welcome, everybody, to our Quickfire 5 segment. Today, I have with me Connie Holen. She is a web designer and design strategist. Connie, welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thanks for having me. So glad to be here.
Good. We're excited to have you here. We saw you at URSA and we were like, we just have to have her on our show. So I'm going to run you through 5 questions. So have fun with them. Here we go. Our first one is, what is a life lesson you learned from the pandemic?
Oh boy, I would say that it is really good reminder sometimes to just stop and reassess and decide what you can quit or what you don't have to continue doing.
Perfect. Good answer. Number 2, if you could play a character in any movie, what character would it be?
Okay, this one was hard, but I'm a big fan of the Marvel series. So I would have to say Captain Marvel. She went to the Air Force Academy like I did, and she was an Air Force pilot, as was I. So I think I could pull her off. And, hey, opportunity to be in a Marvel movie. So Captain Marvel.
Look at you, Connie. That's so awesome. I didn't know that about you. See? That's why we do the Quick Fire 5, so we get to know our upcoming industry expert.
It definitely pulls out in some weird stuff.
All right, here we go. Number 3, please complete this statement. Sunday morning, you can find me
scrambling, trying to make my 4 boys presentable and get to church at a reasonable time.
All right, I'm sure that's a challenge. And number 4, what is your number 1 book recommendation for all of our FBP family out there?
Okay, I'm going to be a little different here and say, go read something for fun. Like step out of that zone of thinking about your business and just go read something that you enjoy, like a mystery or historical fiction. If you really need something, I think Bossy Pants by Tina Fey was a really fun read.
We just had somebody recommend a children's book. They're like, I'm going children's book. Sometimes you just need something fun and silly.
Right.
I kind of like that. And here we go. Finally, this is your chance to pitch to our FBP family why they should come back next week for your episode.
Okay, so if you have any hesitation or just a smidge of concern that maybe your website isn't doing all it can to support your business, you need to tune in next week because I'm going to go through 7 very simple questions to help you self-audit your website, decide what roadblocks might be in place that are blocking those prospects from turning into clients. So it's good stuff. We'll talk a little bit about the trends and what to skip and what to pay attention to too.
If you ever question the effectiveness of your website, or if your website is aesthetically appeasing to your Googler viewers, then this is a must listen to. Web designer and digital strategist Connie Holan shares a variety of golden nuggets on what to incorporate when designing your website or giving it that fresh new makeover. So don't have FOMO. Subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player so you won't miss this episode. You can also subscribe at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you to our founding partner, Active Management, our partners, Keep Me, My Zone, Discover Strength, Tribe Team Training, One Fit Stop, and our advertisers, Rex Roundtables, MX Metrics, and Vapor Fresh. We believe that what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but woven into the lives of others.